Hello, everyone. It is your boy, Marco Alvarado, coming at you before this episode begins to just give you a heads up that the interview that I did with the 12th Human had some technical issues in the beginning, so the audio is a little spotty in some parts in the first half of it, but just keep listening, and at a certain point, it will get better. It'll get a hell of a lot clearer, and you'll be able to hear some really funny stories that the 12th Human, a great band, by the way, from New York, is going to tell us in that second part of the interview. Please listen to them on Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube, and anywhere else you can get your music. They are on there. Stay tuned for some new music from them, which is coming out soon. And there's some pretty interesting tidbits of info in here about their upcoming stuff. They actually announced something on this show that nobody else has a scoop on except for your boys here at the Closers Podcast. So anyways, without any further ado, enjoy this episode. After the interview, Quinn and I talk about NFL Week 4 and give our games of the week for Week 5, and then we give our weekly recommendations. So, again, enjoy. Everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Closers Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Marco Alvarado. Before we jump into the discussion with our guest for this episode, the 12th Human, I gotta say, please follow us on Instagram at the Closers Podcast, on Facebook at Closers Podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are the Closers Podcast. Please share these episodes with your favorite people so we can build a community of favorite people. All right, so with that out of the way, without any further ado, the 12th Human are back on the show.
Yo!
Finally. What is up, guys? It's a pleasure to have you guys back.
Yes, man. Thanks for having us.
Of course. So, generally, just how have you guys been since the first time y'all been on?
Things have been good. I mean, obviously, besides what's going on in the world, like, stuff with the band hasn't changed. We honestly think things have just gone better for us, actually. So
yes. The 12th Human is the only redeeming factor of 2020.
that is honestly, I would not disagree with that. So Eric and Joey were on the show before, and there's a third member of the 12th Human now. Brett, welcome to the show. You are now a closer. Congratulations.
Good to be on, Marco.
Yeah, so real quick before we move on to anything else, I saw last time we recorded in December, you guys had a music video out for one of your songs, and Brett was in it. Was he a member at the time?
Yeah.
Or was that
kind of when Joey? So it was kind of like a one-man band, and then me and Joey kind of reunited our friendship, right? And then it was like a year after. Yeah. So me and Joey and Brett were best friends growing up, and then me and Joey like became close again about like 2-3 years ago, and then he was like, yo, dude, like, I want to play drums for you. And I was like, fuck yeah. Because I couldn't play out or anything when it was just me. So it kind of sucked. Yeah. And then Brett was in a band with us when we were young, too. So it just made sense. We got Brett in, too.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And it's really so much better now to have people to play with and write and fund the songs with.
Yeah, the one person thing can get pretty old pretty fast. It can be pretty difficult.
And expensive.
Very expensive.
Yeah.
Very much so. With that music video, I believe it was for the song, what was it?
You Got It From Me, I think?
Yeah, You Got It From Me. Yeah, you guys were playing football and stuff. That was fun. That's a fun, super, like, very pop-punky song, and the music video fit perfectly. I don't think we had a chance to talk about that song on the last episode.
Everyone that hasn't seen that video does not know how cold it was that day. So
really?
It was fucking freezing.
Costume. I think we all got sick after because it was so cold, and we were all wearing like short shorts, and we were dressed like it was the summer, but it might have been like 25 degrees.
It was, and you could kind of tell, like, if you watch Joey playing drums when we're out in that field, he's hitting the drums so lightly.
I was so miserable, and when I was not trying to show, but
yeah. So like, you guys just put out another video, an acoustic rendition of "I Met You in the Summer," which was the song that was featured on our first episode that we recorded.
Yes, that's right.
Almost a year ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how was that process? I know that there's a big, update to that song that we'll touch on in a second, but just recording that video for that rendition, how was that experience?
Yeah, it was sick. So Randy, who records all of our shit, he's fucking amazing. Pastoral Recordings, like, just took us to the next level. He bought a 4K camera, and it was Joey's idea. Was like, yo, we should do a video. It has like 200,000 plays now. So we like, how can we make more content surrounding that? We need to put something out. We weren't ready to put out our EP yet, so we thought that would be a good idea to put out in between, just to keep people interested in us. Like, we're always looking for ways that are interesting to keep people listening to us. So Randy just bought a 4K camera, and lo and behold, he's not only an amazing audio producer, but also he seems to be pretty good at video producing too.
Yeah.
He's just one of those guys.
So when we went to Randy's, he was showing us one of the videos that he made with his band, If I Were You. And I was like, wow, you made this? And he was like, yeah. And I was just so surprised how good the quality was. So I was like, all right, well, since we got so much good feedback on I Met You in the Summer, we're like, all right, let's keep the ball rolling with it. And we could put that out, release a video about that, and then we could have a little more time to work on our EP after releasing that. So it kind of gave us a little time.
Yeah, that is crazy. And you guys got a bunch of listens too, right? Off of something pretty fucking cool, I must say. You guys were able to work with a Johnny Craig, actually a Sacramento local, which is where I hail from. Talk about how you guys got into contact with him and how that happened.
Yeah, so the song initially, like that, we put it out first without Johnny, and it had I think it got like 2,000 streams, which compared to our like 600 streams on our other songs, I was like, okay, there's something here. Like, it's definitely a popular song. It kind of reaches a wider audience, but there's still like thoughtful input that our current audience would still like. So Joey has always loved Johnny Craig. So did I, but Joey really loved Johnny Craig. So I think you just hit him up on Instagram, right?
Yeah, I just shot him an email, and he was just like, yeah, like, send me over the song, like, send it over as soon as possible, and we'll do it. And I sent it over, and we pretty much we were kind of like mind blown at the same time. We were just like, there's no way this is happening, like,
yeah.
And
then
he hits me up. He's like, yo, like, go on my Twitch. Like, I'm in the studio right now, like, streaming on Twitch, like, recording the verse for the song. And I'm like, what? I'm like, no way. And I call Eric. I'm like, dude, yo, get on this Twitch right now. Like, he's legit in the studio recording. And, like, we were just watching, like, him and his producer, like, go through what they were doing. And it was just sick.
And we were then watching like the feedback from everybody in the comment section. It was just mind blowing.
Yeah, people go, "What band is this?" I was like, "Oh shit, that's our voices." That's our voices, and he's letting his voice.
That's amazing.
It's a real moment. Yeah.
Wow.
And we got something huge in the works. I think we can probably announce it, right?
Yeah. Wow.
So we're working with Beartooth on the next EP. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna have.
That's amazing.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Beartooth. That's fucking cool.
Huge.
How did that happen? That's crazy.
So I just got on this website with listeners. If you're in a band, definitely check it out. There's a website called Feature X. They reached out and put me on the website, and then I saw Oshi was on it too. So I had them put me in contact with him, and then me and him were chatting over Instagram, and we're just getting the final mix ready.
Are there so there's a lot of other artists featured on that website?
Yeah, dude, it's the best website ever. It's got Randy's on there, I'm on there. There's a lot of good people on there. So definitely check it out.
Oh wait, was Kellen Quinn like featured on there? Was he doing like a 5-song thing where he was like a promo? Okay, I've seen that before then. Yeah. Okay.
Yep, Kellen's on there.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. So are you guys pivoting more in that kind of like Beartoothy kind of direction, or is he more so really fitting in with what you guys are doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think all of our songs kind of like are so different, but also the same in a way. But this new song that we are getting him from Beartooth on, it's kind of definitely directed a little more on the heavier side. Well, just heavier for us. not really heavy, but just heavier. So we thought he would sound really good on the song. So
Yeah, because we grew up all listening to music like that. Like the music we play isn't really what we grew up listening to. So we've always had like that. You could hear certain influences in it. And now, once we knew we were collabing with Beartooth, we wrote this song specifically Oshi in mind. So, and you'll hear it once the song comes out. You know?
Wow. When do you think it will be released? Is there any timetable on that, or is everything kind of?
Hopefully 2 months. We're going in for a final studio session at the end of November. Yeah, hopefully 2 months. We're trying to decide if we want 4 or 5 songs on it.
That's fucking awesome, man. You guys are blowing up. You guys are about to blow up. Is that what that's what you're telling me right now?
That's the
That's crazy. Yeah. No, that's really cool. So, like, pivoting to more COVID talk, like this year for musicians, I mean, you guys are definitely, kind of anomalies, because a lot of musicians, the trajectory of what's happening in a lot of musicians' lives is going down.
Yeah.
So have you guys been affected at all, like significantly by what's happened? Or
I mean, the only thing that's kind of been affected is us really like, jamming in a studio together. But other than that, I mean, since we haven't really started, playing shows or really anything, so it's really hasn't been affecting us. Like obviously a lot of people that are like on tour and stuff like that can't, play shows and like sell their merch. It's like really affecting them, but we've been doing pretty well.
It's all about getting big online now. So that was kind of my goal from the start was, okay, let this thing go up online. Once you can tour and pack out a club, then that's when you should take that next step. But like, we weren't really affected by COVID at all because it's all digital anyway. I mean, and me and Joey, for the writing process, me and Joey will sit in his room with an acoustic and get the writing done regardless. So like our rehearsal studio shut down. So that kind of sucked, but it didn't really affect the writing.
Yeah, we honestly had majority of the writing done kind of somewhat before COVID. So we just really didn't have a lot of time to rehearse. So when we went in the studio, it was kind of like we were a little rusty, but then we just, we just started thinking, letting our ideas run, and we recorded it.
Yeah, we were just able to really fine tune it at that point. It sounds ridiculously good.
That's really cool. So since now, like, were the songs like I Met You in the Summer, were those songs, collaboratively, or was Eric, was that more so just kind of you and then
so
you kind of
so I had that riff for like 3 or 4 years. I was always playing that riff, and I was like, I gotta fucking make a song out of this. Joey heard me playing the riff and he was like, what is that? And I was like, I don't know, it's just this thing I've been playing, I want to make a song out of it. And then we were kind of messing with vocal melodies, and then I was just like, yo, check this out, I met you in the summer. And then Joey was like, yo, that's it. And then we kind of built the whole song around that. It was like this.
I think we actually wrote I think 2 of the parts on the way to the studio in the car.
The verses,
yeah. We wrote like the verse and the bridge.
No. So we were joking around, like so there was no big ending. You know how we have that big ending, kind of explodes. Randy was fucking around. Randy was fucking around and put fake drums in the background, and I was like, "Yo, that's actually really fucking good." And then I laid down we were still like not sure about it. Then I laid down a distorted guitar, and then Joe threw drums on it. We're like, "This actually sounds fucking amazing." And then we were like, "That's the ending right there."
That's sick.
Yeah,
the climax at the end just like
at first we
makes
didn't
it kind of like a party.
Like we had the climax, but it wasn't really, the energy wasn't there.
Yeah.
And we had Johnny Craig come onto the track, and he even added more into that ending. It just skyrocketed right after that.
Yeah.
We
were
actually about to leave the studio, and then Randy was fucking around with the drums, and then we all sat back down.
It was a joke.
But your point about us like writing it on the way, I just wanted to touch on that. Like, I always think my songs kind of come out when you're not like fucking banging your head against the wall trying to make it work.
Because they're just forcing shit.
Right.
Serendipitously. I remember I heard Dave Grohl say that when I was a kid, and it's definitely true.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Somebody just randomly come to you like, oh yes.
Voice memos save your life.
Voice memos, yes.
Exactly.
You should hear my voice.
Oh my god,
it's filled to the brim.
You don't ever.
I bet you can release just a whole EP of voice memos.
Yeah.
I bet they're great. I bet some people would want to hear them.
Eric's voice memos are just like melodies, which like with like funny humming tones.
It's like, and then this part goes da 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 da, and I'm gonna go.
But that's how you have to do it. That's like, so since things are becoming more collaborative with you guys, how have your guys' influences from the music that you each listen to personally? I can imagine there's overlap, but how has that affected the trajectory of the band, would you say?
Hugely, I think. I was kind of like always in like, let's just keep it like alternative rock, catchy, focus on the hook, and just have kind of like power chord with straight drum beats. And then Joey has like a big hip hop background, so he's always coming in with these like Drake type melodies, is what I call them. And I love when he comes up with them because like it's just a melody that I wouldn't have thought of. So it's amazing to have that.
Like something that shouldn't be in this.
On this new EP, even further, like Joey sings almost just as much as me on this new EP. So it's a
really
different sound. It's a more mature sound we're going for.
We're harmonizing each other at certain parts, so it just, and our voices just sound good together.
And when we first started writing it, we set a rule. We said, okay, if we're not like totally sold on a hook, we're just trashing the whole song like relentlessly. We can't have a song that doesn't have a good hook. And we kind of stayed true to that. And I wish it was out so I could speak about some of the songs. But
it's just so frustrating, like not being able to let people hear them yet, because like they just sound great. They came out really good. Randy did a great job, and we really worked hard in the studio to get these done.
I can imagine. I know you guys work really hard. Are we gonna be able to hear Brett sing at all?
Maybe at some point.
We'll keep him on the bass.
Yeah.
Actually, Brett's girlfriend was drunk last night. She was like, Eric, you should let Brett sing on some songs.
He's like, I want to hear Brett sing.
Wait, what did you say?
I sidestepped it.
Eric acted like he didn't hear.
Brett doesn't have a bad voice, but not necessary.
Dang. You gotta hand to girlfriends, man. When they're in your corner, they're in your corner.
She backs me up.
So aside from the Beartooth feature on the upcoming EP, what other things are you guys excited about this upcoming record?
Yeah, so we're gonna have a second feature on it that we can't announce yet. We're just getting ready to solidify some things on that. But it's a pretty big feature as well that we're super pumped about. So more to come there. But about all the songs are like very different, and like I said, have catchy hooks. And in my personal life, my dad actually passed this year, so that's like the whole theme around the entire EP is like, so like lyrically very heavy, but we still try and keep it fun where the songs allow for it. And the songs that aren't so fun and more like emotionally heavy, you could definitely hear it there. And I'm really excited about how much effort we put into it.
Oh, dude. First, I just want to give my condolences
Thank
to
you, bro.
because that's really heavy. And but second, I know that from great adversity, like losing a loved one, like the art that comes out of that is kind of a gift within itself. So
yes, sir. Yep.
That's good that you're taking something pretty heavy and turning it into art. I'm really excited to hear it.
Yeah. So I was actually thinking about it, like all the lyrics I wrote when I was single, and now I'm in like a happy relationship, so it's hard to write lyrics about like being sad about a girl, which is inevitably what most of them end up being. I'm like,
yeah,
I have all this new content to write about and all these new thoughts to get out there. So it's, if you want to look on the bright side, that's one of them. The least you could do is come out with some good music.
There you go. Changing the circumstances around like in your life definitely makes, I don't know, for me at least, it pushed me to become like a better songwriter, because it's like, okay, I can't just pull out the same like card every time, like the same trick. Like I have to write this other shit.
Yeah, it's like whatever's going on in your life, it's like depending on what's going on, if something tragic happens and something good happens, it's like that's when your writing happens. You know, you have to be inspired by something or something, tragic happens, something you're going through to inspire you to even write, that even if it's something bad.
Yeah, that's true. Because that's literally what uninspired means, is when people make bad music. So I guess you need something to be inspired about. Never thought about that.
Yeah. I'm super excited to hear it, and for that next feature, which hopefully we get to hear about that a lot sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I don't want to jinx ourselves just yet.
Are you guys So like, I know we talked a lot about marketing in the first interview and just like how online, is the way to go. Like you guys talked about getting that promo from Shoe Nice and fucking like all that stuff. How have you guys noticed any difference with the online landscape ever since COVID has happened?
Go ahead.
I mean, I think probably better. I feel like people during this whole time had a lot less to do, so they were listening to more music. They were on their phones more. They were on their computers more. So I don't think in that situation it made it worse.
Yeah. Do you guys think because of the? Oh, I'm sorry, Eric. Go for it.
Yeah, just to add to that, a podcasts are really blowing up, so that's great for you. Have you seen a bump at all from that?
No, actually,
No?
It's kind of the inverse. We've lost some viewership, but it's not necessarily because of the time. It's more so just because we took a break in the beginning of the year because I went to Sweden for a couple months. And
nice.
Yeah, so when I was over there, I didn't do the pod, and then when we came back, some people just didn't realize that we were back, and we lost some stuff. But it's more so about just, at least for us, it's more so about just kind of having fun and just talking to people that we enjoy talking to.
Yeah.
So,
and also
but we have a core viewership that still listens.
Nice. I know a lot of people probably listen at work too. That's where I used to listen to most of mine. So maybe that was due to some of their drop off too.
Yeah, or just on the way to work or on the way home from work.
Oh yeah, that's a huge one.
Yeah.
Long drives are where it's at.
Yep.
Definitely. Have you guys noticed like an influx of newer artists now, because there's like so many people, so many more people have like free time now because of people getting laid off maybe, or just, not working, or, a variety of factors. But have you noticed like more people trying to get within that musical space that you guys inhabit, or not so much?
You're breaking up.
Oh, okay.
Get off Wi-Fi here.
Need Wi-Fi for Zoom?
No.
You don't?
Hey, can you hear us, Marco?
Yeah, I'm able to hear you guys fine.
Okay, it's way better now. I got off Wi-Fi. Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So because of the coronavirus, people have a lot more time on their hands. Mm-hmm. Most people, because of the economic times we're living in as well that have come with the virus. So because of that, a lot of people have turned to music, started making music, maybe like picking up a guitar and stuff. Have you seen a rise just within your own personal spheres of like music just being released, or a lot more people have reached out to you, or what has that been? Not
so much reaching out to us, but I just know, like, anecdotally in my own circles, is a lot of my friends started making, like, one of my friends made some electronic music. Some of my friends picked up some guitars. I know you started learning guitar.
Yeah. I'm definitely a lot better at guitar than I was before the whole pandemic, for sure.
So yeah, I would say there's an uptick. Nothing really in like the online social circles that we kind of dwell in.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the only thing I've really seen with like bands were just like doing live performances in like a rehearsal studio or something, but like not even that much more music made, which I thought there would have been a lot more, but I'm guessing that wasn't the case.
It is kind of cool though. Like if you look at Code Orange.
Yeah. Oh, dude, they're killing it.
They took COVID by the fucking horns, and they're just crushing it. That live stream they did was so ridiculous. I know, they missed out on a tour with Slipknot, so they did that instead, and it was so sick.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go to that. There was this September, yeah.
Yeah, that Code Orange is fucking awesome.
They're one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's crazy how the drummer. I forgot his name. I don't know their names. I only know Reba, but
Jamie.
Yeah, Jamie. How he like is not the drummer anymore. He's like the screamer now, or I don't know what he's.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he used to scream and play drums, and I guess this one they got so technical that he kind of just became the front man.
And who drums?
Yeah,
they got a new drummer who's fucking amazing. I forget what band he was from, but he's incredible.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, it's crazy to see the progression, especially like how they were like Code Orange kids, and then they dropped the kids, and now they've like matured it's like so like symbolic too.
Yeah, it is for sure. Yeah, they were just like Philly hardcore kids, and then now they're hanging out with WWE people.
I know that they just hang out with Triple H just all nonchalantly. It's hilarious.
Yeah, they blew up like crazy.
Huge. Now Slipknot, like, Slipknot shouts them out all the time. Who's literally the
Code Orange
band in metal,
awesome.
Slipknot.
Yeah, still going strong.
Yeah,
a lot of
for
people
them.
didn't think that they would be able to hold it up, but I mean, they're doing something right, I guess.
Yeah, they're sick. Slipknot's fucking awesome.
Yeah, they are cool. Have you guys seen them live before?
No, I haven't.
I wish.
Man, yeah, they're crazy.
That's
I
like
just saw
one
them this
band,
past October.
That's like one band. Like there was always been a few songs I loved of Slipknot's, but I was never like a huge Slipknot fan. But it was just also always a band I would just like. I need to see them live just one time, just because I can't imagine it not being incredible.
Oh yeah, that's how I was too. I used to be a huge Slipknot head, maybe like middle school, like a lot of other like teenage boys were. But yeah, over the years I just stopped listening to them, and I saw them back in October. They played Aftershock, and that was crazy. Like that crowd was insane.
I bet.
Yeah, I remember when we were little, we used to be like, dude, I heard people put nails in their boots at Slipknot concerts. And, like, people die there all the time.
It was like Slipknot, Korn, and then like Lamb of God. I was always like, dude, their shows must be insane. Like, how Lamb of Go.
That's hella funny.
We used to watch the Wall of Death videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
And be like, look at that, dude. Look
at those Wall of Deaths were those are serious.
They were insane. Yeah.
Like, we weren't just like, it wasn't only because we were kids thinking like they were insane. Like, they were insane. Like, I guarantee we'd watch that same video now and be like, I would still not go to that.
Like, have you guys ever been in a Wall of Death?
I mean, like a pussy one.
We used to go to like the Devil Wears Prada and Skylight Drive and Vanna.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't a real. You know, they were Wall of Deaths, but the crowd were so different that like it wasn't a violent Wall of Death. You know, like if you go to a Wall of Death at a Lamb of God show, the crowd is definitely like more scary, violent people. So like the Wall of Death is definitely crazier.
Yeah, it was like the scene core.
Yeah,
like walls
like,
of death.
You'd be just running into each other like little babies.
Yeah. Man, I remember being in those back in the day and thinking I was like the hardest motherfucker of all time.
What? Go ahead. You can say it. What are you gonna say?
So we used to practice our pit moves with each other. This is so crazy. We were listen. We were like 14, 13, 14. And we would like practice our pit moves and like show each other and be like, yo, like was that good? Like, did I do it right? And then like we would go to shows and do it and be like, yo, did you see me in there? Like, and we were like so serious.
Oh my God. All three of you?
Yep. Listen, no shame. No shame.
No, there's no shame at all.
No shame.
I better see you guys show off your moves in a music video at some point.
Oh God.
We actually should. That'd be hilarious.
You got to throw it back. Yeah.
Oh my God. I remember
literally and figuratively.
I think I found a video on Eric's phone when we were younger of him like videotaping himself.
No. It was. We used to make VHS videos. And one day my family was putting in like an old family video, and then it
like went to the
overridden to us, like moshing to the Devil Wears Prada in our basement, and I jumped up and unplugged it, and they were like, what was that? It looks funny. I'm like, no, you guys are not fucking watching this.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
You just took the VHS out, just unraveled it in front of them. You're like, no.
Also, it was like 4 years later, so I was 18 at the time, just humiliated.
Wow.
So we took it when we were 14, and then fast forward 4 years later, we're watching family videos, and that pops up. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, we were definitely an interesting group of kids. Like, I look back at it now, and I'm like, my parents must have been so worried for me, like, and worried for themselves as like parenting. Like, am I doing an okay job? Because we were just like, we were out of our minds.
We wanted to be members of Jackass, so we would do crazy shit all the time.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
We did crazy shit. Like, we were just the outcast of everyone.
Totally.
Like, complete outcast. But we didn't give a shit what anyone thought.
That's cool though. Like that sort of placement within your like little hometown or wherever you guys grew up, like that offers a really unique perspective, I feel, especially for musicians, and like being kind of deemed as the outsider.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like we were all in a band together as kids, and we're in a band together now, and we just happen to make like pretty good music now, but then we definitely did not. We just somehow like we just magically started writing way better. Like we somehow all got like I stopped playing drums for a while, and like I feel like I'm a better drummer now than I was then before I stopped, which doesn't even make sense.
That's crazy. So were you like would you say that it also comes with maturity, just maybe as like a person? Because I've seen that within myself too.
Definitely maturity, and also just way more experience. Like over the years, as you go on, you just experience whole new things.
Well, I was always like, you guys weren't in bands, but I was always in bands from that moment when we were kids making bands, and then I went on to be in like a few metal bands and shit. So my songwriting definitely like never took a break, and I was always trying to make better songs, and it kind of culminated to this.
I think we all just naturally always naturally made music together, so it was always easy to write together, whether our talent is just better now, so our writing is better now because we're also comfortable with working with each other, so it just comes out good now.
So it seems like you guys aren't trying to force it now, where maybe when you were younger there was a little bit more of that.
Because we were like we were playing like a ton of live shows. We had to sell a ton of tickets. We had to practice so much, so like we had to be like, oh, we need this long of a set, so we have to write another song in this amount of time. The pressure was definitely crazy with like having to balance the selling the tickets with the writing, with the just making sure our live show is good. So it definitely was way more forced than it is now.
And then add teenage angst onto that. And
and we would even have to like spend time like going out to like the mall and just showing people our songs just to get our name out there, just to kind of get people to help buy our tickets.
We'd have to like play a song on an MP3 player in like some random person's ear out front of Hot Topic and be like, yeah, this is us. Like, do you like it enough to buy a ticket and go
make them feel uncomfortable enough to give us $20?
Were you guys ever one of those bands that went to Warped Tour and would like walk along the line and just be like, we're selling CDs? Like, do you want to?
No, but I wish we did. We did not. So we're friends with we're pretty close with Spencer from Ice Nine Kills and a few of those guys, and that's what Spencer did to get big. He would walk up and down those lines when he was like 16, and fucking it worked, dude. And I wish we were doing that.
Man, Ice Nine is huge,
dude.
I remember when they were first popping off, I was like, okay, this is just one of those other bands that is just going to kind of die off. No, they have not. Good for them.
Yeah, dude. And it's well deserved. They're really hard fucking workers, dude. And Spencer's an incredible vocalist.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. He definitely proved me wrong. And I'm glad. I'm glad to hear it for sure. Within that scene, I know, Joey, you said that you listened to, you were a big fan of Johnny Craig. Growing up. So did you listen to him when he was in Dance Gavin Dance?
Yeah. When did you the first show I ever been to, I think Dance Gavin Dance was
Dance Gavin Dance from first to last. Skylar Drive.
So the first show I ever went to in my entire life, Johnny Craig was there with Dance Gavin Dance. But then after that, I also liked him with Emarosa. Then I liked him with Slaves, and like now I listen to his solo projects. So like. Yeah, I just think he has, a great voice, and he's obviously musically talented to still be, making music and people still listening. So,
yeah, it's pretty crazy. Was there any did you guys ever kind of pause and think about maybe not having Johnny Craig on that song just because of a lot of the controversies that he's had over the years? Was that ever did that ever weigh on you guys?
Yeah, for sure. When we first got the opportunity, like there was me and Joey had a conversation like, yo, would this look bad? Blah, blah. And like the truth of it is whatever he's doing in his personal life, nobody was going to listen if we didn't do this regardless. So we had nothing to lose by putting him on there. And it might bite us in the ass in the future by maybe some other guest vocalists will turn us down because we had him on a song. Who knows? But I try and separate the art from the artist. And I'm not saying truly, I never really looked into what happened to Johnny, but he was good to us, and he's a fucking great singer. So why not have that add to our art? you know.
Yeah, we kind of put aside anything that anyone, you know, that he did in his personal life. Like, you know, if you make good music and you're like, you know, passionate about it and you want to work with us, like, you know, if we can make a good song together, like, you know, not that I'm encouraging anyone to do anything bad, you know, but it is what it is. And I think the song came out great, and hopefully people continue to listen to it.
Oh yeah, especially because it's like you guys have like a pretty strict, just professional relationship with him. It's not like really anything extending further. So
I wouldn't describe it anything more than professional. Like that's really all it is.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. And also like anytime
to give you guys a chance.
And anytime the thought enters my head of like, oh, we can't do it because so and so might say something, like my initial reaction always like, fuck that, dude. We're doing what we want to do. We have to be true to ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a chance to talk about that aspect of it, just in case there's anybody who is curious about
I mean, I'm sure like a ton of people that make music have done messed up things in their life, but you don't hear about it because they're not famous. So it's like, it's not like before he did a song with us, he's like, oh, wait, like, are they bad people? Like, did they maybe do something bad in their life, but you just don't hear about it because we're not famous? So like, who gives a shit?
And to be honest, I was expecting more of an adverse reaction. Like, if you look at the YouTube comments, I thought they were going to be like, yo, fuck these guys for working with him. But there was only like one comment that said something about like drugs and abuse. And listen, like I said, I mean, we don't support any of that, but you got to separate the art from the artist sometimes.
Yeah. Especially, I mean, when you're trying to make a name for yourself within music, you know, there's very few opportunities like that spring up, and you have to make the most of it.
Yep. So, and I say yes to almost any opportunity, and it's gotten me far. So.
Oh yeah. Saying no is one of the worst things you can do, unless it's absolutely like you cannot do something.
Yeah. I mean, no matter how many people don't like anyone we do a song with, if they make good music and they do have fans, it's gonna, no matter what, work more in our positive favor.
Yeah. I feel that.
You know?
I support that. It's interesting, because a lot of the people that we've had on the show to talk about that kind of touch on that aspect of like separating the art from the artist and all that. I honestly expected more people to be on the side of you cannot separate art from the artist. Like they're one and the same. But I've been surprised a lot. Like almost everybody has that I've talked to who makes music or is some way involved in art all agree that you kind of you can separate them enough in certain aspects.
Yeah, like
still consume it.
Like imagine if every R&B singer didn't make a song with a rapper who like raps about doing drugs and, you know, weapons and stuff. Like if that was the case, no rapper would ever be in a collab with anyone.
And also like you're free to disassociate from the band if you're not into that. Like that's totally cool. I respect that. You know, don't listen to it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you have your choice.
Yeah,
and that's good.
Like, I mean, how dare you guys listen to us? You know, if you don't like that song because of who's on it, like don't listen to it. That's fine. You know, we understand.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that makes sense. So to pivot a little bit back to something we were talking about before, about kind of not forcing it anymore. With, you know, when you were younger, there was just a lot more pressure for you guys in other bands and stuff and other projects. So with this project, do you guys feel like you're not really trying to obviously make a name for yourself, but you're not trying to kind of fit a mold or kind of like be anything other than yourselves?
Yeah, we always strive to do that. And you can kind of hear that with like the collabs that we're doing. We're not that type of genre of music of these people we're partnering with, but like we're still writing things that are true to ourselves. So
yeah, we like to make all kinds of music, you know. That's why it's like you could see that all of our songs like definitely do different from one another. It's because like all of our, you know, taste of music is different.
But as far as pressure, I started feeling it once our last song blew up. Now it's like I'm writing these songs and I'm thinking like, fuck, people are actually going to hear this now. So it's got to be good. So the pressure isn't gone. It's still there. But I kind of just try and let my mind go to where it has to go. So I'm not thinking about that as I'm writing, because then I'm going to write shit.
Yeah. And we know, like, we'll listen to something, like, say we write something and we record it and we listen to it, like, we'll be the first ones to say, this sounds like shit. Like, we can't let this out. Like, we have to do better, or, you know, scratch the song completely. You know, it's like, we know what sounds good and what doesn't. Yeah,
definitely. You guys know yourselves the best. I mean, nobody else is you, so totally makes sense. With the recording process, I know you guys have been using, I forgot his name, you said him earlier. You guys have been going to, I think Randy is his name?
Randy Pasquarella from If I Were You.
Yeah, you guys have been going to working with him for a while. Has he brought anything differently to these mixes and to these upcoming songs that maybe hasn't really been present before in your other songs, your previous songs?
Yeah, so I consider Randy the fifth member of the band. He plays just as much of a part as
the answer is yes.
Absolutely. Like, I tell him all the time, I owe him endlessly. He's such a talent. If you listen to Tall Sun, that's the first song I ever wrote, and I didn't go to Randy, and luckily I found Randy early, and he is a huge part of the band. I mean, it's like, he's like the painter, and we're telling him what we want the paint to look like, and he is the canvas. So he helps so much.
Yeah. He just knows, like, we can just be like, oh, we want it to, like, you know, give this vibe or sound like this or do this, and he's just like Dexter's Laboratory, just like just does some shit on his keyboard, a couple clicks on his mouse, and we're like, holy shit, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, because we're the type of band, as much as I respect people who want to like match their live sounds as much as possible and want it to sound like Led Zeppelin would, of just going into a rehearsal studio and recording right there. We spend like every second of every song, we're sitting there and going like, how can we move that? Should we redo this? Like, we're making sure it's as good as it could possibly be before it's released.
Yeah, and and I think what's so good is Randy helps us out so much. He does what he does so well, but in the same sense, we are also the same kind of people that we have our music sounding great, but not overly produced, even though he does so much good to our music.
Yeah. And it allows us to be very intentional with each piece of every song, which I love. That's I would prefer to record than play out any day, and I love sitting there and writing and coming up with new ideas in real time. And he allows us to do that.
And he just like feels the direction that we're going in with each song, so it's easy to kind of communicate where we're trying to go with it. Like when we're trying to figure out what should come next, it's almost like right off the bat he has an idea that could just connect the two pieces and just take to another level.
Yeah, I'll be entirely like incoherent with what I'm saying to him, and somehow he gets it.
Wow. He sounds like a genius.
No, he's a fucking wizard.
He's the best.
That's awesome. Man, yeah, I would love to talk to him at some point. That'd be really cool to pick his brain.
You should.
I would love to. I'll definitely reach out and see if he's available.
Yeah, I'll shoot you his Instagram.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. What is maybe... I'm trying to think of how to phrase this. With these upcoming songs, I've already asked, I've asked about like your guys' influences, and Eric, I know personally there's a lot of stuff there for you. So after these songs are done and out, what is the next step?
I don't know if we've gotten there yet.
Well, we were definitely saying we definitely want to do a music video of the song that we're doing with him from Beartooth, because we just love this song so much. But yeah, we definitely want to move forward with the next step of than just releasing music.
Yeah, I think we're going to start. I mean, we want to start playing out is what comes next after this. So we're talking to some venues in Brooklyn, and we're trying to get some cool stuff going there, and then eventually to a tour. And
nice.
I mean, the best next step would be to start making some money off of this, so that we could do it full time. That's where we want to be. That's the goal. Because right now we all work full-time jobs.
Yeah, the goal is to do this for a living for sure, because this is what we've always loved to do, and it's always been what we wanted to do for just our whole life growing up together.
Yeah, it's really cool to see how, like you guys said, for a time you guys kind of all split apart for a time and now are coming together, and how it's all progressing. It's really like inspirational. Sure.
It's kind of crazy. Like when we do record together, when we do practice together, like I'm not even kidding. Like I legitimately feel like 14 again. It doesn't even make sense. Like I'll forget how much time has passed, you know?
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
wild.
It's just so much easier to have fun with the guys that you already grew up with.
Yeah, it just happens naturally, you know? It's like there really isn't any pressure because we just love doing it.
Yeah. Like amongst each other.
Yeah,
You guys don't,
exactly.
like,
We
put
have a
pressure on
blast.
each
Like
other, yeah.
you know, we'll be practicing writing. We'll be, you know, goofing around. Like we just have fun. That's it.
But as far as what comes
feel that.
next, it's depending on the feedback from this EP. If we could grow the fan base enough to come up with a full length, we'll do that. But if we still feel like there's another piece in between before we spend like the resources on a full length, we'll probably just do another EP. We'll see where it goes.
I feel that. Do you guys? What are your guys' thoughts about like signing to a label or something like that? Is that something you guys would even entertain? Or is it more...
I mean, if the right label comes along, yeah. But that's
Me and
has to
Joey
be-
actually had a big conversation
Yeah.
about that the other day. Yeah, I mean, listen, if it was like Warner Brothers or somebody insane, like
Yeah.
obviously. But if it's like a smaller time label, we know how to do everything on our own. Labels handle mostly distribution
yeah.
and marketing, and I think like we're building
We
our
have
network
that
right now
covered.
to where we don't need that.
I think really the next step would just be, you know, get our content out, get as many fans as we can, release some merch, and then really we don't need a label. We have the records going fine. They sound great. I guess just really getting a booking agent and starting to, you know, play around.
Yeah.
You know, not locally, just playing all over the place because we're, you know, as soon as we keep gradually getting fans all over the place and then start playing all over the place.
Yeah, I'm very hesitant to like self-elect a gatekeeper when we don't need one.
I feel that. Yeah, it's becoming less and less necessary.
It really is. Other than like the funding would be great, but even that, like you end up owing them regardless. So I think the business model is going to shift.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you already see with Spotify, there's so many changes happening just even within Spotify. With Joe Rogan now signing on and all that shit just changing.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely
pretty crazy.
Yeah, and even like people always complain that Spotify doesn't pay enough, but like, I mean, it's not much, but we don't have that many plays. But we got like a $250 check last month, which was like, I was not expecting that. I mean, it's small, it's nothing, but it was significant enough to where I was like, we really didn't get that many plays. I mean, 200,000 plays.
And
I
that's
think
a
it's
lot.
like, yeah, I was like, fuck yeah. And we put it right back towards this next EP.
Yeah, like,
so
like if you think about it, like a record label, you know, they're going to pay for you to record, you know, get you, you know, the right person to make your sound good and release it. We're doing that, you know, and if these Spotify plays are paying for us to, you know, record our studio time and stuff. So it's like, why do you need a record label? They're just going to be taking our money that we would be making.
Yeah. So I'm
True.
like very grateful that things like Spotify exist that could even give us $1 back.
Yeah. How can people even complain? Like they're giving us money for just nothing.
Yeah.
We're
just putting stuff on there.
Like, they don't have to give us anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. So, like, how did that check work? Like, they mailed it to you?
No,
like,
I just connected my PayPal through our distributing service, and I think they took a little cut, and then it just ended up in our PayPal. Then I transferred it right over to our producer.
That's amazing.
Yeah, our checks go directly to recording.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, it definitely, you guys are super driven and you guys know what you want. And that's like the first step is knowing exactly where you want to be. Where's the end goal?
Yeah.
A lot of music artists, a lot of bands and, you know, artists of the like, they kind of just, they start and there's no like progression. It's just like, well, I'm just going to put music out and just like kind of hope.
Yeah.
But it's like, you have to have a strategy. You guys definitely have that strategy. So
yeah.
it's really
I
cool.
mean, we don't give ourselves a choice. There's only one outcome that we're fighting for. And
yeah.
Chad really just put everything into it.
I feel that. Is there going to be a live stream soon? Are you guys planning on entering that world? Into that?
Brought that up the other day, actually.
Yeah. We might rent out like a kind of like probably rehearsal studio and have some cool shit.
Yeah, I mean, if we got to find like the right audio engineer and we have to find the right people on it because none of us are capable of doing that. But we were thinking about like maybe getting a small venue or even a rehearsal studio and doing some sort of live stream like surrounding the release of the EP, which would be really cool.
That'd be sick.
Yeah.
That'd be super cool to have like find a way if he'd be down to have like Johnny Craig like zoom his like himself singing his part of the Summer or something. That'd be crazy.
That would be fucking awesome.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, that'd be super sick. I know that like we brought up Code Orange and stuff and how they did their live stream. So I was just wondering what direction you guys would kind of go into.
I think similar
And,
to that. I think that they're spearheading like where the industry needs to go right now, and it's a great lead to follow. So something along those lines, I would be cool to get kind of visual effects going too. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
But that's cool. That's a possibility for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for that.
And if not, I mean, more videos in the vein of what we did for I Met You in the summer at the very least.
Nice. Yeah. Just putting out content. That's the most important thing. Like we talked about in the first episode.
Yep.
That's definitely a huge, huge part of it.
Yeah. And we're trying to, we had our own podcast and it kind of fell apart. We stopped doing it. We had issues with our gear and we just gave up. So we got to get that going again, because that was a lot of fun. And I think it's a good way to get people in the door.
Yeah, I listened to a couple of those episodes beforehand to get me like prepare me, prepare me, but to just like brush up again. Like, oh yeah, these guys. All right, cool. Like I know like where I can hit like what to hit on and like how they kind of are with each other. So you guys have great chemistry as a trio. And it's really fun to hear you guys kind of talk. That's why I was so looking forward to having you guys back on.
Yeah, we get pretty silly on that thing.
I love that shit. That's hella funny. That's what makes it like the best, to like feel like you're sitting in on like three people that really get along, three best friends just like shooting the shit.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
The best part.
Just watching YouTube videos. We're trying to just make it like we're sitting down watching YouTube videos. We may or may not do a little bit of shrooms before and really get the chemistry going. But we got to get that going again. Thank you.
Yeah, if you guys, like I said, if you guys need anything, if you guys need any help or anything, just definitely let me know.
You got it. I'm going to take you up on that for sure.
But yeah, it looks like we're about at time. So is there anything you guys want to say before we get on out of here?
No, thank you so much for having us, dude. Fucking awesome. It's always fun. And thank you for allowing us to kind of explain like the direction of the CP.
Oh, yeah, dude. I'm excited for it. Can't wait to be able to share more with the Closers Podcast family. And if you guys ever get that tour situated when COVID kind of blows by, let me know if you're coming out west.
Hell
Definitely
yes.
Let me know.
Oh, yeah, dude. This is a must.
It'll happen.
Oh, yeah. Doing a live podcast with you guys would be super fun.
Oh, absolutely.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be
Hell
sick.
yes.
So definitely let me know about that. But anyways, next up, we got our weekly NFL Games of the Week talk, and then we're going to hit on our weekly recommendations. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed that conversation with our homies, the 12th Human. Now it is time for our weekly NFL Games of the Week and weekly recs. So, Quinn, one of our games of the week actually got postponed till further notice, actually till week 7. We do know that, actually. It got postponed till then because of the Tennessee Titans' ineptitude and getting over 20 people infected with COVID in that organization. So they had to postpone it, and it's looking like that the Bills and Titans game may have to get moved as well, which is their upcoming bout with the Buffalo Bills for this upcoming week 5. So we're not going to be able to go over one of our games of the week, but the second game of the week that I said was the game of the week was Vikings Texans. Now, originally, before the news that came out today, I didn't feel like we really needed to cover this game. But now that we have new news, I think before we jump into week 5 games of the week, we definitely need to hit on the fact that head coach and GM, or should I say former head coach and former GM of the Houston Texans, Bill O'Brien, is now fired. He got fired today. So what is your reaction to this, Quinn?
Completely unexpected. I mean, not totally unexpected. Like when the news broke, when I heard the news, it didn't shock me. I'm not surprised, motherfucker. But it did take me back. Like, wow, it was earlier than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
But it does not come as a surprise.
Yeah, I predicted it last week. I said this is a loser leaves town match. The loser left town. He's gone. He is gone. The loser is out of town.
They're literally, I mean, it's not like they lost badly in some of those games, you know?
Yeah, but
they were competitive throughout.
I think it's with Bill O'Brien making the decisions as a coach and as a GM, the owner, I could imagine, was looking at this and being like, we traded DeAndre Hopkins. We got back David Johnson, who hasn't done shit. And we're 0-4. Arguably, we have a better roster than Arizona, but they have DeAndre Hopkins and they have 2 more wins than us. Like, what are we doing here? This guy doesn't know what he's doing. I honestly thought he was going to get fired last year. I thought he should have gotten fired after that loss to the Chiefs. Like, the fact that the Chiefs went and won the Super Bowl offered him an out. Because they're the Super Bowl champions. They were the best team last year. That's inarguable because they won the Super Bowl. So, I mean, that kind of saved Bill O'Brien's job. But now, four weeks in, you lose to another 0-3 team, the Minnesota Vikings, who finally got Adam Thielen involved, finally was able to really move the ball, and they looked decent. I'm not going to say they look like the Vikings of old, but they look okay. They might be able to hang in there for a wild card spot at the end of the year, but
they're on the rebound.
Yeah.
They're gaining momentum.
I would say that. But I mean, there's really not much else to say other than I hope that the Houston Texans get a good coach, because for the past decade, we've seen middling Houston Texans teams.
Gary Kubiak.
Yeah.
Who are some other Texans head coaches? Gary Kubiak, Bill O'Brien.
Wasn't who's the defensive coordinator? Romeo Crennel? Was Romeo Crennel no, he was with Dallas, right? Yeah, he was with Dallas. Oh, and that's the coach Houston played this past week, Gary Kubiak, who is the coach of the Minnesota Vikings.
All right, so here, yeah, you're right. So Don Capers is their first coach. Gary Kubiak is their second coach, 2 AFC South championships, 2011, 2012. Wade Phillips was a coach for one season in 2013.
Wade, yeah, that's who I was.
Bill O'Brien for 4 seasons. And now Romeo Crennel. Really?
I thought Bill O'Brien was with the team since 2014. I thought he was head coach for
7 years. My bad.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah. Romeo Crennel is now the head coach, interim.
Wow. What do you think about that?
I mean, Romeo Crennel's all right, but as a defensive coordinator, he's better than a head coach. I mean, that's obvious.
He has credentials.
But with those credentials, he wasn't able to do shit with the Cowboys. He wasn't able to do shit with the Browns. I don't think he's a good head coach, but as a coordinator, I mean, there's very few guys who I would rather want on my team.
Is there anyone that you could think of that you would like to see be the head coach of the Houston Texans? Maybe going forward, do you think Romeo Crennel is a bridge coach?
Definitely. I don't see him inheriting that job unless they literally go close to undefeated now. You know, if he can get 10 wins out of this team and go 10-6, maybe that'll get him in the playoffs for sure. But I don't know. I mean, that's a tall order from a head coach, a defensive-minded head coach that has a really stale offense to begin with, and a pretty stale defense too. So, I mean, I just don't think they have the talent. I think they.
Go ahead. My bad.
I was just gonna say I think DeAndre Hopkins filled up a lot of gaps on that.
I mean, he's generational. He's a generational talent.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So his presence alone adds such a huge dynamic to an offense.
Yeah.
Now, I just checked Sports Illustrated's website, and this was written September 11th, I think, of this year. Future head coaching candidates, September 11th, and they mentioned this guy. Let me run this by you. I think this is a good fit. Byron Leftwich, future head coach of the Houston Texans.
Byron Leftwich, who's he coaching now?
He's the offensive coordinator for the Bucks.
Okay. I mean, that's definitely the type of place where a current good coordinator would get their shot in Houston. A young guy. I mean, Byron Leftwich is all right.
You want a guy to grow your quarterback with. That's the new thing nowadays, man.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I mean, you got Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan.
I just see fault in that philosophy because then you have to pay. Your quarterback isn't going to stay young forever. And if
I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying it's a trend.
I honestly think that the Texans are the type of team that they want to follow the Patriots in every single way. They want to try to just be the Patriots so bad that they copy their colors too.
Their colors aren't copied.
What do you mean? They're navy blue and red and gray.
They're kind of. There's a little purple in there.
What? No, there's not.
In the Houston Texans,
there's no purple. There's no purple.
There's a purple hue in that blue.
No, that's navy blue.
It's
that is navy blue. I don't understand.
And the reds aren't quite the same. They're like a softer color.
Okay, sure, but at the end of the day, it's a red and a blue.
It is a red and a blue. I'll give you that. Well, actually, these uniforms do look very much like the Patriots.
Regardless of the details on the specifics of their different types of shades, my point being, they've tried to mimic the Patriot way so far as to give Bill O'Brien both head coaching power and GM power. So I think that the next logical step, if they want to continue being like the Patriots, is to offer Bill Belichick's son the head coaching job, who is a current assistant coach in New England. And I could totally see the Houston Texans doing something stupid like that. I really could. And then I could see them actually doing okay next season. And then that just gives cause for the owner to keep, Brian Belichick or whatever his name is, around for the next 7 years, just like Bill O'Brien. And they're just middling again, and they're just not any better. That's what I can see happen.
Well, you definitely have to let Deshaun Watson have a say. You have to put him in on the process at this point.
Oh, yeah,
he is a franchise quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
I think I hear your choice, and I think it's pretty good. I like Byron Leftwich a lot. I think that'd be super interesting.
If they were smart, I think they would go with Byron Leftwich or somebody of that sort. But I think that they have been blessed by the football gods. They were gifted J.J. Watt. They were gifted Jadeveon Clowney. They were gifted Deshaun Watson. The Bears gifted them Deshaun Watson. And
Will Fuller's pretty good. He's developing.
Yeah, Will Fuller and DeAndre Hopkins. They had a bunch of talent, but I don't think it's necessarily because they're able to really scout these guys out. I just think that they're just no-brainer picks that just kind of fell to them, and they're like, okay. This is the team that went out of their way. Their big free agent signing was Brock Osweiler 4 years ago. And then a year later, he got traded with picks to the Browns in a salary dump. I don't think that these guys are smart. I don't think that the front office... I think Bill O'Brien wasn't smart. If they separate it out and give the GM to somebody and give the GM position to somebody and give the head coaching job to your guy, I think that's a great move. You have to separate the power. If John Gruden had both GM and head coaching responsibilities, we would be worse than we are as the organization is in terms of the Raiders. So I don't think that really works anymore unless you're Bill Belichick, who is just literally, he's a dictator in his own way. And
a tyrant.
He's a tyrant, and that works for them. Good for them, but that doesn't work for everybody.
Joseph Stalin or worse? Where would you put him on the dictator scale?
I don't know. I'm not going to go that far, but I just all I know is that that is how he kind of rules, and I mean it works. It's worked for him, but we'll see what happens. It'll be very interesting. So going into these games of the week, Quinn, what is your game of the week? Do you have one, or would you like to defer to me?
You can go ahead.
All right, my game of the week for this week. Kind of an interesting slate of games that we have here. We have two byes, Lions and Packers.
Right, those are important ones.
Yeah, they're our second bye weeks. We weren't supposed to have a bye week in week 4, but because of the Titans and Steelers game getting moved down to week 7, their bye week was last week. So now we are looking at a new slate with possibly, like I said in the beginning, the Bills and the Titans also not playing this week. So we'll see what happens, but I'm going to stay away from the Bills and Titans game just for the sake of next week's episode. That is a really good game if it does happen, but we're not sure if that will. So I guess the next logical one, just from records, and honestly from kind of excitement, because both these teams are kind of on the upswing, Colts versus Browns in Cleveland. Now, these are two teams that have been up and down this season. The Colts have won 3 games, have lost 1. They beat the Vikings, the Jets, and the Bears. Lost to the Jags in the first game of the season. That was the game that everybody kind of flipped out and thought that the Jaguars really could do something this season. They really haven't done shit since. But, going back to the Colts, Phillip Rivers hasn't looked half bad. He has a better team around him than he did in LA, but they're also a healthier team overall, aside from Marlon Mack getting hurt. So on the Indianapolis side of things, it's going to be very interesting to see how they go forward in this game, how they attack that defense of the Browns, which, that defense isn't really their weakness. The defense for the Browns is actually, surprisingly, their strong suit. What's their weakness is actually their offense, I would say. And that offense has just been hurt, has been dealt a blow, I should say, by losing Nick Chubb for at least the next 6 weeks. So now they have to rely entirely on Kareem Hunt. And that, two-headed backfield was definitely their one bright spot on offense. And now that it's literally the Kareem Hunt show, fantasy owners of Kareem Hunt rejoice. But that's all who should be rejoicing right now. If you're rooting for the Browns in any fashion, they lost their first game to the Ravens and then beat the Bengals, the Washington Football Club, and the Cowboys. And now they play the Colts. So this is going to be a very interesting game. They played 3 pretty mediocre, is putting it very lightly, football teams to get to 3-1. This is their first real test. I know they played the Ravens week 1, but that's not really a test. You're going to lose to the Ravens if you're the Browns. It's just how the world works. At least for this season, that's how the world works. But the Colts, that is a winnable game, and that's going to show the NFL a lot, whether Baker Mayfield really can do something this season, whether that be just make it competitive against the Colts defense that actually is playing like they want to get to the playoffs. They're playing very, very inspired ball. And also that tight end for the Colts, Alex Cox, my man, MAC, is playing lights out too. He's gotten a touchdown in every game, all the last 3 games, I should say. So it's going to be very interesting to see. My prediction for this game, I'm actually going to give it to the Browns. I feel like there's an upset coming. This is exactly the type of game that Phillip Rivers loses. He's riding high, feeling good, and he is never really able, even with the Chargers, he was never really able to hold a winning streak for too long. There always was a loss. I think that this game is going to do it. I don't think Baker's going to outduel Phillip, but I think that with the enhanced workload, Kareem Hunt will be able to kind of drive the team down the field, and it'll be more so the Kareem Hunt show than the Baker Mayfield show. And they'll win the game, and I'm going to say 24-17.
Interesting. I agree with you. And you pretty much summed it all up. And but what's even more interesting is that you mentioned the AFC North. I think this is the week of the AFC North because my game of the week is the Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals.
That's a good game.
The Cincinnati Bengals have been competitive week in and week out. I think Joe Burrow has proven himself to be legit. He's definitely not a flub.
Mm-hmm.
And they got weapons. Joe Mixon had an awesome last week. Looks like he's hitting the ground running. They still got Geno Atkins on defense.
Yeah.
And they still got A.J. Green, John Ross. The Bengals have a really solid roster.
Yeah.
They're really just a few pieces away.
Mm-hmm.
And a year or 2 in development with Joe Burrow. And then, of course, you got the Baltimore Ravens. We know who they are. Lamar Jackson, former MVP.
Yeah.
Mark Andrews. He's a gangster. No one even talks about him as far as tight end production.
Yeah.
Mark Ingram, Marquise Brown.
Yeah, they have some weapons for sure. And Dobbins too. Dobbins has been looking all right.
This is arguably, along with the NFC West, the most competitive division of football right now. I mean, the Steelers are undefeated. I mean, of course, they had a game delayed.
Yeah.
But they're still undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
The Ravens are 3-1. The Browns are 3-1, and the Bengals are 1-2-1.
Yeah, a competitive 1-2-1.
Yeah, exactly.
That game, that tie easily could have been and should have been won by Cincinnati.
Yeah. And my official pick is, I'm riding the Cincinnati Bengal train. I think the Bengals are going to upset the Baltimore Ravens in a low-scoring affair. I'm going to say 17-10.
Really?
Joe Mixon gets a touchdown, and so does John Ross.
I'm gonna go
That's my call.
I'm gonna go with Baltimore in this one, but I'm gonna go in a very high-scoring game. I think Joe Burrow is gonna be able to really give Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati offense is going to be able to give the Baltimore defense, which got exposed, not just against Kansas City, but this whole season they've kind of been getting exposed, even by Houston. They allowed Houston to come back in that game a couple weeks ago. The Baltimore was able to close it out, and on the stat sheet it doesn't look like there was much of a contest, but there was a couple stretches where Houston looked like they were really coming back, and I think that shows that the Ravens are running more of a bend but don't break type of defense, which can only hold you for so long, especially if you're already playing that way in the beginning of the season. So I'm going to go Baltimore 34, Cincinnati 30. It's going to be a very close game, and in the end, Lamar Jackson's legs is going to get it done, are going to get it done for the Ravens, but Joe Burrow will definitely 100% cement himself this week as a starter in the league.
All right. So we're kind of both on the same page, but not. We have different conclusions.
I think that the conclusion will be the same. It's just that he's going to be able to make a statement without winning. Just like the Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert, he lost
against the Chiefs.
Yeah, he lost to a divisional opponent that went to the playoffs last year, won the Super Bowl, and was able to make a name for himself and, be kind of revered for a couple weeks, and showed that he's a pretty good quarterback. He can hang in the NFL, and I think Joe Burrow is going to further cement himself, because I believe that Joe Burrow has done more, obviously, than Justin Herbert at this point within the NFL. He's played more games.
Right.
So I think.
So do you think Joe Mixon has a big day?
I would give Joe Mixon out of, I say 30 for them. Yeah, so I'd give Joe Mixon probably.
Or you think it's all Joe Burrow?
I'd give Joe Mixon maybe two touchdowns, but one of them is a reception. One of them's a reception. Right. So okay. Both Joes get to eat on that one.
And you're saying the Cincinnati Bengals won't be able to play contain against Lamar Jackson. He'll just scramble up the middle, break off.
I think that defense still is lacking some ballers on that side on that side of the ball. Yeah, I think that
they still got Pernell McPhee,
or not Baltimore's. I mean Cincinnati's, because they're going up against Lamar Jackson. So I think that
they got Geno Atkins and. Oh man, yeah, you're right. I was thinking back in the day when they had like Ray Maliuga.
Yeah, they had like Vontez Burfict and on all those guys. Yeah, those were the days, but those days are gone, and they need some new guys on that defensive side. It's going to be a while before they get them, but I mean, once you have the quarterback like that, everything else just kind of starts to magically fall into place. It's kind of funny how that works out.
Let me ask you this: what do you think the identity of the Cincinnati Bengals should be if you were developing their franchise?
How
would Marco Alvarado shape the Bengals?
I would make it. I would pivot the
Pivot.
I would pivot. I would pivot the personality of the Bengals to be centered entirely around Joe Burrow's personality. That cool, calm, collected, never bothered, never rattled type of mentality. I mean, that's his poise. That's what I would want my team to play, with poise, like they've been there before, even if they haven't. And that is going to take some faking it till you make it. But at the end of the day, I think that's one aspect of the NFL game that you don't really see from young teams. Every team goes through growing pains, and I'm not saying that this Bengals team won't, but I think that that if you try to take it from that approach and truly take each game from that kind of cool, calm, and collected type of standpoint, overall, I think your end results are going to be better, because you're not going to get too pumped up over a win, but you're also not going to get too down over a loss. And I feel like a lot of young teams, led by young quarterbacks, tend to really hang on losses. So, yeah. So especially if your prediction's right and the Ravens lose this game, that'll be 2 losses in 3 games.
I mean, I think the Bengals are a sneaky team this year.
They're not easy. They're not an easy out. They don't have Ryan Finley playing as their quarterback anymore. So,
True that.
So, I mean, I that's what I would go. That's how I would do it if I were Cincinnati. I'd want players that have that kind of poise, that aren't going to just, like, it's great to play with excitement. It's great to play with ferocity and intensity, but there's never really been an NFL team. There's been a couple of young teams that kind of act like they've been there before. And the most recent examples that I could imagine, I mean, they're going to offend you. I'm sorry that this is going to offend you. I already know it is, but the Niners of last year, and also the Seahawks when they first popped onto the scene of Legion of Boom. Those are like the 2 teams that I can think of off the top of my head that really embodied that type of philosophy. And
do you so when you're building a defense, do you build from the back in or from the in out?
If you're Cincinnati, you have to go from back in. You have to go from the DBs.
Still got
out.
Geno Atkins on the line, so
yeah,
you got a solid piece.
Exactly. And the thing is, if you have a really good secondary, just like a DeAndre Hopkins, you have one good wide receiver that can...
Carlos Dunlap.
One good wide receiver can put you over the moon. Relatively speaking, over the moon. As to where you would be without him. But a really good corner or a really good safety can do the same thing for your defense. It's going to be interesting to see where they go forward. But nonetheless, those are our picks for week 5 of the NFL season. And once again, I picked the Cleveland Browns to upset the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday. And Quinn picked the Ravens to lose to Cincinnati in an upset. I went the other way. I said Baltimore over Cincinnati. But we both think Joe Burrow is going to ball out still, regardless. It'll be very interesting to see. Make sure to tune into those games. And now it is time for our weekly recommendations. Yay, weekly recommendations. Oh, man. All right, so Quinn, what is your weekly recommendation for this week?
So my recommendation is a documentary, Cinema Verite. Also, aka direct cinema. Kind of sound like a pompous ass right there, but I just studied it. And it's high school, 1968 documentary that was made by Frederick Wiseman. And basically what this documentary is, what direct cinema means, is just taking the camera and being absolutely observant, voyeuristic, a fly on the wall. You don't interfere, you don't impede, you don't interact with any of the subject matter, the set, the characters. You're literally just there. And this film, High School, does this at a high school in 1968.
Oh, okay.
And while of course the way it was edited, the way it's filmed, you think maybe this takes place in one day. But if you pay attention to the editing, you know, and you can understand that it was not. It was a single camera film, so they wouldn't be able to get an hour and change film, you know, in one day.
Yeah.
Of footage. It gives you a perspective of what high school was like in 1968, your grandparents. So a camera in a high school footage gives you an idea of what high school was like for people in the 60s, that pivotal time in people's lives, you know, a building block where you discover so much of who you think you are.
Yeah.
And are yet to develop into. You know, how the outside society, outside of high school, impacts, how it leaks in. In 1968, this is a very pivotal time in America, obviously, so there's some reflection on that, on the socioeconomic status of Philadelphia. The high school takes place in Philadelphia.
Oh, it's in Philly.
Yeah, so it gives you an idea of you know, the socioeconomic reality they were living in the late 60s.
You know, bad things happen in Philadelphia, right, Quinn?
Yeah. But, yeah, it's pretty much, you know, you're a fly on the wall, a day in 1968, a quote-unquote day. I can't recommend it enough. It's really interesting. It's really well shot. Even though it seems to be void of a plot,
yeah,
you are able, as an audience member, to develop the own narrative, you know, as long as you're paying keen attention.
Interesting.
To it. So I can't recommend it enough. 1968, High School, shot by Frederick Weissman.
Is it on any streaming service that you know of or anything like that?
Canopy.
Okay. Never heard of it, but okay, cool. If any of y'all have Canopy or want to get it, that's where you can check it out. My weekly recommendation actually is a movie as well, or a film, as some would say. Now, this movie is kind of out of left field for me because I'm not the type of person to watch movies like this. I, as you know, Quinn, am the type of person, I am somewhat of a snob when it comes to film. I'm trying to break out of that, and this is an attempt of myself trying to do that.
This is Fast and the Furious 6.
No, it's not Fast 6. My mom the other day was watching this movie on Netflix. It's also free on YouTube. And I like had it, like she had it on, and I was watching YouTube videos and like eating breakfast, and I kept glancing up and I was just like, what is this movie about? Because I didn't know. This movie is called East Side Sushi. It is directed by Anthony Lucero, and it stars Diana Elizabeth Torres and Yutaka Takeuchi. And basically, it's about a woman named Juana who aspires to be a sushi chef while working in a Japanese restaurant, and she is a Latina. So
she wanna be a sushi chef?
Yeah. So she wants to be a sushi chef, but it's very interesting. The reason why this movie I'm recommending it is just because I don't think I've ever seen a movie include both Mexican culture and Japanese culture and kind of like put them at odds against each other in terms of like a Latina woman wanting to become a sushi chef, right? Like, and the Japanese people who own the place are like, no. You know, you always see a either Asian or Latin character trying to break into white culture and be accepted by just the greater white voice, right? Of whatever movie it is. That's generally what I've seen, at least. This is one of the first movies where I've seen it's two minority cultures kind of at odds with each other. But of course, in the end, everything is fine. Everything works out. Now, it's not really not a spoiler. This is a very campy, very cheesy movie. So I'm literally, you already know what's going to happen from literally my synopsis. But nonetheless, it's a very interesting movie, and it's one of those movies that you can kind of just chuckle at because there are some things that are said, especially if you are Japanese or you are Mexican, that you know, comments are made, and it's just kind of funny. But overall, it's a good time if you're just trying to sit and kind of turn your mind off and not really watch something with too much of a analytical eye.
I can picture you eating Captain Crunch and just dying laughing at random moments in this film. Just
That's basically it, yeah. East Side Sushi. It also takes place in the East Bay, hence East Side Sushi. It takes place in Oakland.
So it's a NorCal film.
It's a NorCal film, and it was filmed in Oakland.
It's in the NorCal Library, the Library of Northern California Films.
Yes, it is.
Where would you place that?
The Library of Northern California Films?
Yeah.
Probably Oakland.
Where? Really?
Yeah, why not?
Just an interesting choice. Not what I would have chosen.
Where would you have chosen? Stockton?
Stockton.
Yeah, of course you would have chosen Stockton.
University of Pacific. Make some money off that library of film.
Sure.
No, I'm just playing. Actually, it should be in Sacramento.
Yeah, I could see that.
It should be in Sacramento. It should be in the capital. It should be on Sac State. You could have people come and like talk about their film.
That'd be cool. That'd be very interesting. Yes, at CRC.
No, I don't know about that. I think Sacramento State.
Yeah.
CRC is not a fan of culture.
True. That's true.
The people there have no. I'm just playing. I love CRC. I have a degree from CRC.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, so that's my pick for this week. Definitely check it out. Like I said, it's free to watch on YouTube if you don't have Netflix. If you have Netflix, watch it on there too. But yeah, this is kind of all we got for this week. Hope you enjoyed my discussion with the 12th Human, and hope you enjoyed our talk on the NFL games of the week and our weekly recs. As always, please follow us on Instagram at The Closest Podcast, on Facebook at Closest Podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are The Closest Podcast. Next week, we are probably going to have a guest on. We definitely are going to have a guest on, but that will be announced at a future date. So without any further ado, on behalf of Quinn Kalani and The Closest Podcast, I'm Marco Alvarado, and we will talk to you soon. Take care.